Lynette O'Connor, and I'm Head of Digital Learning and Innovation at Benenden School. And yeah, I look after the IT tech team. I look after digital strategy, AI strategy, and data strategy in the school. Okay, so we had a variety of different data kind of stores, student data stores, staff, co-curricular, and in some connected systems, but nevertheless the data isn't necessarily as connected as we would like. We'd spent a lot of time working out our data collection strategy, so we were starting to get really decent sets of data. But what you had is a landscape where lots of different staff were downloading data from the databases and doing their own analysis. So you had a lot of individual analysis. Sometimes it didn't all match up. It depended on people's spreadsheet skills. So a lot of breakout spreadsheets for analysis, a data manager who was doing centralized kind of data processing, but gaining insights from the data was probably a little bit more piecemeal and a bit distributed and a bit patchy. You know, I work with a lot of tech companies in my role, and Scoresby, I've been really exemplary in it. I think that the staff are extraordinarily approachable. They start to feel a little bit like your friends, simply because they're listening really hard to you, and what they're doing is very much collaborating with you. You're not just buying an off-the-shelf product. What you're doing is buying some understanding. You're buying a kind of a collaboration in trying to meet your needs. And I know that we also had, because we had a lot of bespoke dashboards made for us, we were in a great privileged position, but actually there were many tweaks made to some of the more standard off-the-shelf dashboards as well. And the onboarding process has been fabulous, all the way along, hands held, questions answered. And I think what is standout about Schools BI has been the speed and responsiveness of communication. In our kind of merger-led IT world right now, where different edtech companies are swallowing up other edtech companies, we often see this difficult contact speed landscape, and access to support, advice, collaboration is not that easy. But it's like these guys are sitting in the next room, and so for us, for me particularly, they've been one of the easiest companies to work with. Okay, so there's a variety of impacts with this. So one of the things I'd been concerned about before was, I guess, like trying to look after data integrity. And when you've got lots of breakout reports being downloaded from systems, lots of independent spreadsheets being processed, it's very difficult to keep track of where all that data is. So from a data protection point of view, although they're safe in our kind of our systems, what they aren't is all in the place that you'd like them to be, one data source, one source of truth. And so for us, there's been a change from that, because it means that all the people don't have a need to be processing their data. The insights are there and done for them in a very visual and accessible way. And so for us, that whole landscape has saved time, effort, and got people directly into the decision-making process around their data, rather than spending huge amounts of organizational time in processing it. So that's been really, really effective. And then onto the impact really on students and on their work. So every time that we've worked really hard with Schools BI, or they've worked hard with us to create our assessment our assessment dashboards, and at different levels. So one of our assessment dashboards is very much based at or aimed at a tutor. So a tutor has immediate insights on their behaviour, academic, landscape of attendance, landscape of their students, and therefore it really informs the dialogue that they're having with them week to week. As soon as there's a data drop of, let's say, mock exam results, or there's a teacher assessment, there's immediately those grades accessible to the tutor, and they're able to have a comparison with their expected grade, and look at gap analysis, and look at making plans. So that's immediately in people's hands, and so they can be really responsive. The next part is you've got the kind of head of academic who has a kind of insight immediately of all of the issues with subjects. So where are the strengths, where are the areas for development, which students need to have intervention plans, which students need to be extended more. And so they immediately have that every day to drop. And so in able to monitor whole school, all subjects, and that's had a really big impact too. So at different levels, and we've also got heads of year. So heads of year are looking at, again, a different cross section. They're looking at tracking their year group with regards to behaviour, achievement, attendance, and then academic achievements, and all in one place without any data processing. And they've got all that at their fingertips in a visual, usable format, which is really enabling them to be super efficient at the bit that is important to them, which is not data processing. It's actually making decisions or asking more questions based on the information that's there. So the insights that those people are getting without any additional work their end has been marvellous and very, very impactful.